Done. Recording has started now. उलेता ते रेकॉर्ड जातलें आं.
join down, speaker, Sudeep join down. Start करूँ. A very good morning to all. Myself, Mrs. Deepa Audi, President of Institutions Innovation Council, take this opportunity to welcome one and all to this online impact lecture series organized by the Institutions Innovation Council of Dempe College of Arts and Science, sponsored by the Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell and All India Council of Technical Education, Government of India. The Impact Lecture Series is an initiative of the Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell to organize sessions, thereby creating awareness and skill in innovation, entrepreneurship, and IPR amongst faculty and students in IIC institutes in various regions across the country as per the Niti Aayog scheme. I now request Principal of Dempe College of Arts and Science, Professor Vrinda Borkar, to address the function. I welcome Madam Principal, Professor Vrinda Borkar, to this online lecture series. I request you, Madam, to kindly address the function.
Good morning, all. It is my pleasure to welcome all for this session conducted by IIC. It is my pleasure to welcome Sudeep Faldeshin for a very important topic on innovation. At present, innovation and research these are the buzzwords. We can be superpower only if we progress in research and innovation. India has a large number of people with very high intellect. Only it has to be properly channelized towards innovation and the research. And at present, our focus is on the same. So, I appreciate the work done by our institution's Innovation Council for last 2.5 years under able leadership of Mrs. Deepa, for which we received also 4-star and 3-star from Ministry of Education, Institutions Innovation Council for having conducted various events. Now, we are conducting an event on innovation and research, and this is a lecture series. So this impact lecture series, we are starting it today, and I wish that all those who are online will be definitely benefited with this lecture series. Once again, I welcome you, Sudeep, to our college. It would have been nice to host you in the college offline. However, it is okay also to be online, and because those who are interested can be definitely, they can make the best use of your expertise, and that too in Goa. And of course, I hope you throw light on the national this thing as well. So what are the opportunities for our students and researchers in Goa, outside Goa and abroad? So let us look at that aspect of it. What is the support that we can get for our students? Thanks a lot for accepting our invitation, and once again I appreciate the efforts taken by Institutions Innovation Council of our college. Thank you all. Thanks for joining this session.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the warm welcome. It's indeed a great privilege to be here today amongst the students and the faculty of the college. Thank you so much once again. A big thanks to Deepa for inviting us for this wonderful session.
We welcome Dempe College. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Very good morning to everybody over here. I know it's a little late in the morning, but let's do a quick head count. This is going to be an interactive session. It is not going to be a knowledge sharing session where I'm going to talk and everybody is going to listen. So the two options of interacting: first is you can unmute yourself, students, or you can put your comments in the chat, and accordingly we will go ahead with the session. Let's begin by saying GM. Good morning to everybody who are attended today. Please put GM in the chat.
So sorry for the interruption. We would like to give your brief introduction, sir, to the audience.
Okay.
So formal introduction. Okay, so please, sir, for 2 minutes, then, sir, you can continue with the session.
Sure.
Sorry for the interruptions.
No issue.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, madam, for the welcome address and those inspiring words. Under your able leadership, IIC of Dempe College will always achieve new heights. Now, the Impact Lecture Series will be conducted by our college in 2 sessions. Today's is the first session of this series, which will comprise of 2 lectures, and these are organized on the theme Innovation and Startup Ecosystem, and the second, Entrepreneurship, Skill and Behavior. We are highly privileged to have eminent guest speaker for today's lecture series, Mr. Sudeep Faldeshin, who is the project head at Goa State Innovation Council, Government of Goa, and Dr. Anantha Padmanabh, who is the CEO, AIC NITT Incubation Center, based at Udupi, Karnataka. I now request Mr. Snehal Harmalkar who is the Innovation Activity Coordinator for Dempe College IIC unit, to introduce the first guest speaker, Mr. Sudeep Faldeshin.
Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today's session, Mr. Sudeep Faldeshin. Mr. Faldeshin has completed his Bachelor's in Engineering in Computer Science from Sri Rajeshwar Institute of Technology, Goa. He has also done his postgraduate diploma in management, specialization in marketing and operations from Indus University, Bangalore. Mr. Ferdasai has a decade experience in the entrepreneurship and innovation space. He has garnered deep insight into managing various aspects of startups, ecosystems over the years, and he has launched a couple of startups and mentored a few in taking their offerings to the market. He has worked as a head of operations at Let's Solve Your Problem, an initiative under Goa State Innovation Council, and as a corporate manager at No Broker Technology Solutions Private Limited. Mr. Faldesai is currently working as a project officer at Goa State Innovation Council, where he is focused on fostering innovation and entrepreneurship at the grassroots level in the state. This role allows him to drive various programs and projects to encourage students, teachers, women, and innovators to evaluate, nurture, and scale up their disruptive ideas.
Thanks, Nehal. Participants, Mr. Sudeep Faldesai will be speaking on innovation and startup ecosystem. I now request you to, sir, to kindly take over the session.
Yeah, thank you so much for the formal introduction. Uh, please give me a minute. Deepa, I'm trying. Okay, just give me a second. Then I can put on my slideshow.
Yeah, sure, sir, sure.
Okay, once again, thank you so much. So as mentioned earlier, this will be an interactive session, and won't- and we need equal participation from everybody. So, dear participants, what do you see on the screen? We all know it's there are numbers and it's in seconds, but what is it? What signifies significant? What is significant about this? Yeah, please put your answers in the chat so we all know. Deepa, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible. Yes.
Okay. I come from a sales background, so my boss always told me that when you are into sales, either you convince your customers or you confuse your customers. So right now I'm confused if the participants have understood the question, because I cannot see anybody answering in the chat. We had one person. What about others? What do you think? What is it? Come on, it's going to be fun. This is not a usual lecture class. Innovations are fun. Unless you have fun activities happening during innovation sessions, it won't be innovative enough for us. Please, what do you think? What is it?
It's time which is shown on the screen, I suppose.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, it is time, but what is significant about this time? Okay, then we also have a fourth option where people can say that we don't know. so that we can carry on with the session. If that is the option, please type we do not know and we'll go ahead with the session. Okay. Yes, every second is precious. Now somebody will say that that's the time required to generate an idea. No, it is not that. So usually when we do sessions and when I ask these questions to students from schools from 5th to 10th standard, they they are the ones who come up with really innovative and creative answers. So let's see how creative uh, answers we get today. Okay, so as we spent more than 2 minutes on this question, I guess everybody doesn't know. Okay, so then we'll move on to the next slide. What do we see over here in this slide? Come on, dear students, you can unmute yourself or you can put your answer in the chat. It's okay. There are no wrong answers over here. This is really confusing now. Okay, dear participants, are you even attending the session or you're just kept it on mute?
Dear students, please answer. You can see very nice pictures on the on his display, on your mobile display or computer display. Do answer that. Don't just keep quiet, because this is a session for innovation.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, let me ask this question to Deepa. Deepa, what do you see over here? There are two images. Do you see any technological advancements or do you see any difference in technology over here?
So the light going off the thumbs when you take off the bells.
Yeah, yes. So, so you'll be wondering today why Sudeep this time in the morning is talking about cricket and why he has Mahendra Singh Dhoni uh, stumping photos over here. So this is a classic example about innovation. It is not, it cannot be as easy as this explaining innovation. So there was this one gentleman in Australia. He watched cricket every time the Australian cricket team would play, but then he realized that it is very difficult for the on-field umpire to give a decision when they are close stumpings or when they are close runouts. So usually they go upstairs to the third umpire, and then it is also difficult for the third umpire to give a decision because then he had to go through a lot of video frames. You had to replay the same video again and again and then take a decision. But most of the decision would go as a benefit of doubt towards the batsman, and the proper decision would not be taken. So then this gentleman, he came up with this idea that he thought that let me put LED lights to the stumps where it is a closed circuit. The bales and the stumps are connected together in the circuit, and once the bales are dislodged from both the ends, then the LED lights will start blinking. So he identified the problem that it is difficult for on-field umpires to give a decision. Then he came up with a solution that let me put LED lights. Then he made a proof of concept about it. And then once this was done, uh, this follows a very simple scientific principle, which we all have learned in our 5th or 6th standard. Okay, so now coming to another example, whenever a batsman nicks the ball and the keeper or the fielders in the slip, or even while checking a close LBW, so they always look for snicko. That is, they look for the edge of the bat, and you will see a lot of sound waves shown. So So this, as this technology was already there in the market. So why do you think he came up with a new concept? Why did he thought of putting LED lights? It's a very interesting question, but as there are no interaction happening, so I'll answer that question. So we all have learned that light travels faster than sound. So this gentleman, he came up with the concept of putting light to the stumps, so that every time the bales are dislodged, the, the duration of the base dislodging will be quicker compared to checking the video. And this is the solution that he provided. So now let's talk about the commercial part of the tech innovation. Okay, because all innovations, they solve a problem. Okay, and then you have to commercialize it. So commercialization can happen in various ways, but let's talk about this specific technology. So once he built the technology, he has not sold this technology to anybody. Okay, neither anybody can copy this technology because of the patents that he has filed. So now if you understand what are patents, so patent is typically you take ownership for the invention that you create. So as you are a true inventor to the invention, nobody else in the world can copy your concept or the technology. So now this gentleman, he is not selling the technology to anybody, but he is giving the technology on rent or lease uh, to the international cricket body, that is ICC, or even whenever BCCI conducts a tournament. His charges are around 6 to 7 lakh rupees per match per pair of stumps. Okay, imagine multiplying that cost with the number of ICC matches that is happening. So he's earning a lot of money by simply solving a problem and filing a patent. Interesting, right? Okay. So as I said, this is the best example of innovation for you. First, he started with the problem. As he was observing the matches, whenever the Australian cricket team or any other team would play, he found that it is very difficult when you have keepers like Mahendra Singh Dhoni who are very quick behind the stumps to give a close decision. Second, he thought how he can solve the problem, and then he used a scientific principle. Third, he built a proof of concept. Once the proof of concept was built, he went for patent. Once the patent was ready, he created a commercial product. Okay, and then for commercializing the product, he didn't sell the product to anybody. He kept the product with him. He redeveloped it and he's giving it on lease. So that is a class. This is a classic example of innovation for you. Now let's talk about innovations. So now when we have innovations happening, so most of the ideas that are generated by us, we do not attempt to do anything about it. We always say that okay, this is a very niche idea or it is a very simple idea. I cannot do anything about it. But as an innovator or as a problem solver, it is very important that we take notes. We write down whatever we think because we tend to forget each day, even during your lecture sessions in college, academic lecture sessions. It's very difficult to remember what the faculty had taught you the previous day. That's why we make notes, right? That's why we have notebook. That's why we have diaries to maintain all that. So we, as an initiative of the government of Goa, we have launched a initiative called Virtual Innovation Register. Once you register your idea with on the VIR as a new idea, these are the list of benefits that you get. That is first, we help you for file intellectual property rights, that is patents. Okay, we have a scheme where we give you a grant to file provisional patent. Second benefit for you is we'll help you to commercialize your idea. So commercializing is very important because that's when you start getting the return on investment that you have invested on your technology. Okay. Third most important is we'll help you in pitching to prospective buyers. So let's say some student or group of students or even a research faculty has come up with the technology, has built a patent around it, but does not have the required resources or the time to build it into a commercial entity, that is to convert it into a startup. So that is when the virtual innovation register will help you to pitch your idea to respective and prospective buyers, where those buyers can be a manufacturer or he can be an investor who is looking to invest in a company, or he can also be an angel investor who is looking to invest and work with you. Okay, all that happens on the virtual innovation register. These numbers are a month old numbers. So now we have significantly increased the registrations. We have crossed more than 400 new ideas and more than 57 startups on the VIR. And there are also benefits for the startups, which I'm not going to go in detail, but I'll just go through them. We help you collaborate with mentors and experts. That is, help you get mentorship in raising funds, building a pitch deck, or even for your investment purposes. Okay, next is support for raising funds. Raising funds will be typically at the seed level, where we'll help you get some seed money to the government or some private entity, and then once you are ready, we'll give you access to resources like a incubation or a co-founders. So incubation is basically a period where you go with your idea, you build a POC over there. They'll help you to develop that POC into a startup. And there are various stages of building a startup where they help you develop your business model to the business canvas model. Then they have a product life cycle development. Then they'll also help you to create a pitch deck. If let's say there are two founders and both are good at technology, but then you need somebody who's like a CEO, a person who can go in the market and sell. So that's when you'll find a co-founder. So all the support is provided to you from the Goa State Innovation Council. Okay. If anybody wants to register your idea on the VR, you have to go to the website of the Goa State Innovation Council.com and register your idea over there. Okay. So as we were working with a lot of entrepreneurs and students, we realized that most of the students, they are motivated to be entrepreneurs and startup founders, but somewhere they don't have the confidence to pursue it. So we came up with a very interesting innovation test. The innovation test is a combination of your aptitude plus your innovation, your aptitude score plus innovation quotient. So this two combination, using these two combinations, we have come up with this test where anybody in this world can take the test for free as a student. Okay, and thus the test will give you a 17-pager report. That 17-pager report you can refer, and it will, and the algorithm will tell you for your strengths and weaknesses. There are some around 9 core competencies, which includes leadership, then entrepreneurial skills, your aptitude skills, plus your problem solving skills, and then a lot of core competencies are there, and then there are set of sub questions in that. So once you take the test, you get the report. You understand your strength and weaknesses, you understand your improvement areas, and once you go through the report, in the end we also have an innovation library where we have linked your improvement scores with certain respective courses, online courses that are available for free. And once you take the course, it depends on you. If you want to take the test again, you can take the test again. And I'm also honored and privileged to announce that the the prime ministers, we are also the recipient of the prime minister's award nomination. That is the cutting edge transformation book was released by the honorable prime minister on the civil service day. And then the virtual innovation register was featured as the top 10 innovations in the country. And it is a big achievement for the state of Goa, because we are the only or government organization who has got the prestigious Prime Minister's award nomination. And out of 838 uh, ideas or nominations, we came in the top 10. The only reason that we could not get the award was because we were competing with states like bigger states like Maharashtra, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, where the list of the beneficiaries were in lakhs and now were in hardly in hundreds. But it's a great achievement for the whole state. Next, so now let's say you register your idea with on the VIR, and then you have developed a good concept note of your business or your startup idea. Now you need to develop it into a proof of concept. So that is when the prototyping lab of the Innovation Council comes into the picture. We have established a full-fledged advanced prototyping lab at our secretariat, and our secretariat is established at the Don Bosco College of Engineering in Fatoda. We also encourage students to come and visit a prototyping lab as a group of students or individuals who are working on their project. Even if the principal permits, we would like to host the students in a prototyping lab for a one full day workshop where we'll teach them about various technologies like 3D printing, laser cutting, soldering, IoT, then robotics, coding, and end of the day, they will build a robot in the lab, and that robot will be gifted to the college as a memento from the Innovation Council. And that robot, it will be done by the students where at the first half we'll teach them about the various parts of the robot. We'll teach them about 3D printing, laser cutting, soldering, and then second half they do a hands-on training where they start assembling the robot, and the whole robot is built by the lab.
L, the 12th alphabet. Add this alphabet to an idea, and what you get is a transformation of thought into reality. But the big question is, where can you find your L? Because for an idea to become ideal, we first got to see how it looks, and that's where the Rapid Prototyping Lab comes into picture.
Welcome to the prototyping lab of the Goa State Innovation Council, which is established at the Don Bosco College of Engineering.
The Goa State Innovation Council has established this prototyping development laboratory in 2019. And this basically is a stage after the ideation process where any young innovator can come.
Our mission at the prototyping lab is to support students, startups, and entrepreneurs with the necessary prototyping support that has to be provided to them in converting their ideas into scalable products.
Hi, this is Sunaya Shirulkar. I'm representing my company, AC Solutions, wherein I'm the founder and the director of the company. It's an edtech startup, founded it almost 2 years back. When I started the journey, I was a little overwhelmed when I didn't know how to do the prototyping of the product, the robots. I had no means over here, but then when I got introduced to GSINC, they told me that they have their prototyping lab and they have their laser cutting machines and the 3D printers. So, I could do a lot of my prototyping work over here and then come up with a final project. And now almost a 20% work of my the robotic structure is what I do over here in the GSINC lab.
The lab is equipped with latest tools and technology. It allows the innovators to tinker around with their ideas until they can refine them to the point of idealization.
In addition, the Innovation Council has schemes. They will give you a grant for prototyping development. They can give you a grant for filing for IPR.
My name is Tarun Krishnakumar. I'm the founder of 11 Agritech Services. We are a drone as a service company and we provide drone services to farmers. Prototyping Lab helps us with a prototyping grant through which we were able to apply for the software systems which were used to develop the product design itself.
The benefits of the prototyping lab are building the product design groups, saving cost and time, customization, and reducing design fraud.
My name is Devashish Doki, and we are working on a startup called Droneile. It's basically a combination of two things. It's a drone and a missile. We were trying to make it at our home. It was not possible. So when we used these equipments and the materials they provided, that is where honestly we got the idea again, and that gave us a confidence that we can go ahead with the product. Because after coming out of the engineering, giving our whole year in this, and then if you don't get the results, that becomes frustrating, and it's like we have to drop it and we have to go into again a job. So but then when we came across here, that was the part that changed everything.
The total number of visitors at the prototyping lab are more than 450, out of which 85% are students from schools and colleges, and rest 15% are startups, innovators, research faculties, and other people.
We have a virtual innovation register where we expect all the young innovators to file and load their ideas. Once it is there on our VIR, it also logs in that the idea began at that point on that date. So you have rights for an IPR. I encourage all of you to come. If you don't have an idea, visit this lab, see what is happening, see what can take place, meet the staff of Innovation Council, meet the staff of FIRE, who I'm sure will motivate you and guide you to eventually succeed and come out with a good product that is not only good for Goa, but good for the entire world. I wish you all the best in this step that you will take.
So that was the introductory video to the prototyping lab. These are the list of all the equipments that are available for you to build your prototype. We encourage you to come to a prototyping lab with your designs, so that it becomes real easier for us also to work on your design and then help you to quickly build a prototype out of it. Okay, we have around 7 sets of 3D printers with us. We have a powerful non-metallic laser cutting machine, a CO2 base. Also, we have as an education learning purpose. Uh, so we also have purchased some drones, where the drones we teach the participants attending the program on drone aviation, where we'll first have, like the first session will be about simulation, where you'll operate a software, and then second half will be outdoor drone. You'll be operating a drone outdoors. Okay? So all this happens at the prototyping lab, and trust me, it's a very fun based activity. Uh, we have a lot of social media engagements. So even if you go to our Instagram page, so every day there are things happening. Every day we are helping students build projects. Every day we have our mascot, the official mascot, doing some activity over there. And also we have a lot of students coming to prototyping lab for sessions. So you just have to follow us on Instagram, and then all that information will be provided to you. The link is innovation.council. Okay? And all this information, what I'm going to speak, is available on our website, that is goastateinnovationcouncil.com. Okay. So now coming to the schemes of the Innovation Council, the first scheme is where we support you by for filing your provisional patent. That is, the Innovation Council will give you a grant of 10,000 rupees for filing your provisional patent. Ideally, a provisional patent starts from 12-15K onwards, depending upon the amount of work that the patent agent or the attorney they have to put into filing your provisional patent. But the amount is subsidized, and we have 4 patent attorneys empaneled by the Innovation Council, whom you can reach out any point of time. Okay. Next, the second scheme is where we give you a grant of 20,000 rupees to build your prototype. That is, all hardware-based product innovations are supported through this grant of 20,000 rupees. This is a grant which means that you don't have to return the money back to the government. This money is with you, and trust me, it's a very easy process. You just have to go register your idea on the VIR as a new idea. Select you want to apply for scheme 1 or scheme 2. And whenever we do the interviews, typically in 3 months. We will invite you for the interview. You have to explain why your project is innovative and it is scalable enough, and what you're going to do with your money. And immediately you will get the approval. Okay, so far we have given provisional patent for 7 people. Prototyping grant, 37 people have got it. As just day before yesterday, we had the interviews. So this number will be 37 plus 14 now. So around 51 people have got this 20,000 grant so far from the Innovation Council. Okay, this is the list of few of the prototypes built at the prototyping lab. You can see over here. And most of them we have also filed for patents. Okay. Quick photographs of all the innovative projects, like you can see autonomous spraying drone built over there in the prototyping lab. And we also built a final year project, atmospheric water generator. And there was one more small drone built by the final year projects, final year students as their project. We also we have got a patent for the cake making and baking using 3D printing. So we are the first in the world to develop this technology where we're using a 3D printer to bake a cake. Okay, we already got the final patent, and it's the provisional patent is already granted to us. So now we are on the verge of getting the final patent. Okay. Uh, as a cricket fan, we thought that whenever there are some cricket matches, it's difficult for the on-field players to know what's the score. So we built this small cricket scoreboard using acrylic sheet and laser cutting, and the stickers are vinyl stickers. So every time there are matches, we give them the whenever there are matches and all, we always give this scoring board to them, and then they get it back to us. So usually, if you go to buy a scoreboard online, it will cost you nothing less than 4 to 5,000 rupees onwards. But this scoreboard it didn't even cost us 1,000 rupees because it is made of all the waste material that was there with us. I mean, not waste material, but the material that was left after the work was there. Okay. Next, we also got a provisional patent for the face mask with the filtration system. This was developed during the COVID time. Okay, now we are in the verge of filing the final patent for this. It's a completely 3D printed face mask. Okay, so as a initiative, we also document a lot of innovations that are being developed at the prototyping lab and the innovation council. So I cannot show you all the videos because that will take a lot of time, but I would like to show you one specific case study of Maharobot. It's a little sentimental video, and the video is shot in Konkani. Okay, so if any of you do not understand Konkani, please let me know. I can explain what has happened in the video once the video has been played. Okay.
रोबोट म्हटल्या कशे व्हडले व्हडले मशीन आणि कितें कितें अशें येतात पण तो खऱ्या अर्थान माणसाच्या जवळ असलो असो म्हाका रोबोट बनवपाचो आसलो दोम 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 हा रोबोट हांव बिपीन कदम हांव भितडा फोंडा रावता हांवें एक इनोव्हेशन केला माझी चली 16 वर्षाची आहा ती स्वतःच्या हातान खायनात ना तर ती बसना ती चलना अशा ती जाग्यार असता तिच्या खातीर हांवें एक रोबोट बनयलो जो तिका भरयता माझी बायल बरी नाशिल्ली आणि हांव कामाक आशिल्लो तेन्ना ती तेका भरोवपाक शकना जाल्यार ते मागीर रडपाक लागले म्हाका कामा वयल्यान येवपाचें पडलें आनी तेका भरोवपाचें पडलें अशें जालें तेका लागून हांवें हे केलें की बाबा असो रोबोट आसा का दुनियेर बाबा विकत घेवपाचो पण हांवें पळयलो तो असो रोबोट ना आनी तो जो रोबोट हा तो आपल्या कॅपॅसिटीक ना ह्यो रोबोट करपाक म्हज्या बायलेचो चड म्हाका सपोर्ट जालो ती म्हणटाली कितें तरी करा म्हाज्या भुरग्या खातीर हांव 12 वर काम करपी मनीस मागीर येवन हांवें तो 1 वर अर्द वर अशें करीत करीत म्हाका 4 म्हयने लागले तो रोबोट तयार करपाक हांव 10th पास आसा फक्त हांवें टेक्नॉलॉजीचे कांयच अशें शिकोना प्रॉपर शिकोना नेटार कितें कितें आसता आनी कितें कितें आपल्या फायद्याचें ठरो शकता ते हांवें नॉलेज मेळत जाल्लो पर्टिक्युलर सॉफ्टवेअरचे चड अभ्यास केलो हांव पळोवपाक गेल्यार तो असो व्यस्त आशिल्लो की घरच्यां कडेन म्हाका हे करपाक उलोवपाक सुद्दां टायम नाशिल्लो की हांव एकदां कामा वयल्यान येयलो काय म्हाज्या हेच्यात बिजी मातसो हे पानां हाड गो घेवपा दिवं नाका मागीर हांव बिजी आहा न्हू मागीर ह्यो रोबोट कितें करता रोबोट तेका जाय ते बरयता म्हटल्यार शीत मागले जाल्यार शीत बरयतले भाजी मागली जाल्यार भाजी बरयतले फक्त आम्ही किती करप फुड्यात एक आयटम दवरप डाळ भात भाजी किती आणि ते प्रॉपर ते उलो केल्यार ते भरायतले. जे प्रमाणे मोदीजी म्हणता की आत्मनिर्भर भारत, त्या प्रमाणे माझ्या भुरग्याक म्हाका आत्मनिर्भर करपाचे आहा, तेका म्हाका कोणार डिपेंड दवरपाचे ना. हांव जेन्ना कामावयल्यान येता आणि तेजे स्मायल पळयता तर ती म्हाका ऊर्जा अशी ऊर्जा देता की हांव कितें तरी करप तेच्या खातीर. हांवें ह्यो आतां एकच रोबोट बनयल्लो आहा, तर म्हाका आनी असल्या भुरग्या खातीर वेगवेगळे टायप करपाचो आहा. आणि ह्यो जो रोबोट आहा तो म्हाका सगळ्या देश दुनिये पर्यंत पावोवपाचो आहा. माझे हे असे प्रयत्न चालू आहा.
So as I said earlier, this video has a very strong problem statement where Mr. Bipin. So let me introduce you Bipin with his background. So Bipin works as a daily wage worker at Betoda Industrial Estate, which is close to Fonda. Okay? And his wife also works. Okay, and he has two kids, elder son and a daughter. So the daughter is totally disabled. She can only speak certain words, but she cannot move, and she needs somebody to assist her all the time. So Bipin has just done 10th. Okay, after 10th, he could not study because of financial restraints, and he immediately joined a job. Okay, and it is very inspirational to see that a person who is not qualified, like that highly qualified, but he thought about a problem and he came up with a solution. So that's why we thought that let us document all this. And as a initiative from the Innovation Council, the whole Ma robot, we have changed it. We have made it into a more commercial product now, and we have named it as Prajakta. That is the name of his daughter, because uh, for the inspiration was from her. And I cannot show you pictures of that because we are filing for design and utility patent for that specific product. Okay. So next is we were getting a lot of a requirement for prototyping, that is using 3D printers. So we have purchased new set of 3D printers, which you can see over here. So this helps us in like solving the 3D printing requirements of a lot of startups, college, school students. These are some of the parts that how they look when they're 3D printed. You can see that the scoreboard is over here. In the background, you can see Mr. Saidat Kamath. He is a well-known mimicry artist from the state of Goa. So even he had taken a scoreboard. Okay. Okay. So this is the end to my presentation. Okay. I would like to show you our website. This is the website of the Goa State Innovation Council. The virtual innovation register is over here. You just have to click over here. It will take you to the VIR. If you want to take the innovation test, you can click it over here. It will ask you for registering with your email ID and your other credentials. You do that. So to apply for schemes, you can go to this option over here and apply for either of the schemes or both schemes. Then we have list of programs that we do are mentioned over here. Okay. And so it looks like we can open the floor for questions now. I'm done with the presentation. So now, if you have any questions, now is the time you can ask.
Participants can post the questions in the chat box, or you can also unmute your mic and speak.
Dear students, do please ask the questions because it was such a beautiful, inspiring presentation from Sudeep. And I was even touched by the father who has developed such a nice, innovative way, even when he was just 10 standard pass. Okay, so what is required is your motivation for doing something. And that motivation starts with questioning. So, my dear students, I expect your questions. And Deepa, what I would suggest that uh, we can tie up with Sudeep for some of the students, because see, not that all the today examination also is going on. So many students, maybe those who are interested, may not be online at present. And so, what we can do is we can have the his video, part of his video, and try to motivate the students, okay, across our college. Okay, let it not be the activity for today. Let this YouTube go to the students and let us motivate them, because we do need the students to apply their mind and be innovative. Okay, so dear students, you can ask the questions now, because there is a support from Goa government for us. And otherwise, we always say government is not doing this thing, that thing. But how are we responding to the initiative of government? How are we trying to take the help of certain facilities which are in Goa? Just think over it. Pass this word to your friends as well. So, uh, Naomi, Sampada, I can see your names. Okay, so do ask the questions, because rather than the questions, I would say that Kanchana, Manjita, you are there. So, Pooja, you all can think over it. And if you are stuck with certain questions, do ask him the question right now. You must have heard him this session, and it was really motivating. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We will definitely plan for some collaboration with Sir Sudeep and also with Goa State Innovation Council. So we could invite Sir here to have some workshop and also have a visit with our students who are actually interested in developing a prototype or maybe converting their idea into a working model, so that
Correct.
we can have a workshop at Goa State Innovation Council in the next academic year. We will definitely do it.
Yes, we shall immediately, after reopening, we'll try
Yeah,
to find out from the students how many are interested, and we
yeah.
will take them at least there, and they may get this thing. Many times people get demotivated. What is it? Mohit has written something.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Let me read out. Many times people get demotivated to engage with government initiative because of bureaucracy involved. How can this problem be addressed? Do you have an answer, Mr. Sudeep?
Of course, ma'am. Thank you, Mohit, for asking the question. Indeed, it's a very important question. Bureaucracy is part of the system, Mohit, and if we can address the problem, we can also come up with a solution. That's what we believe in at Working at the Innovation Council. So we don't know about other departments, but we at the Innovation Council, we have everything happening digitally. So that is why the system is driven by the tech. Okay, so that's why we have the virtual innovation register. There is a tracker, and then up there are certain technology readiness level done over there. But we are, yes, there is issues which we are trying to solve, and that can be only solved with the support of students like you. I hope Mohit have answered your question. So if anybody wants to join us in solving this problem, then yes, the Innovation Council is there to help you to come up with innovative ways to solve that problem. Yeah. Okay. Just before we end the session, I would like to share the Instagram page of the Innovation Council, because as Principal Ma'am has mentioned that about connecting other programs, and 1 second. Okay, this is the Instagram page of the Innovation Council. If you go over there, you will see in post there are a lot of pictures of school students, college students attending the program. So these are all one-day workshops that we conduct for them. Okay. And you can see here that they're using the 3D pen uh, uh, to write their names. So this was a drone-based session. You can see a drone being flight over here. Okay, so these are actually students who are flying the drone in the lab. Okay, and then we have our person explaining how the 3D pen works. Okay, this is a student speaking over here, and I mean these are some of the models that are developed as hobbies over there. So recently we had this competition. That while this was getting the Pikachu, everybody knows Pikachu from Pokemon. So we were printing this Pikachu, and then we thought let's do a competition. If whoever tells us the name of what is getting printed, we'll give them a 3D printed Pikachu. So these are the list of the winners who got Pikachu at the Innovation Council's prototyping lab. Okay, so it is not just about learning. So it's also about fun activity for us. Okay, there are a lot of models put over here. So I would like to show you so ma'am, this is the robot that the students are going to build when they are going to come to the prototyping lab. Okay. So this is a bipedal robot that can walk, dance, moonwalk. It can do moonwalk. It can follow a path. It can do certain activities, and all this is taught to the students once they come to the lab, and then we give this back to the give it to the school or the college so that they can take it back to the respective institution. Okay. Yeah. So that's it. I mean, like, if there are any other questions, we can address them. We are glad that we got at least one question, though not necessary. It was on innovation, but little bit on uh, bureaucracy level, but at least a question was there. And a big thanks to the principal ma'am, to the teaching, non-teaching staff. A big thanks to Deepa for inviting me for this wonderful session today. It's a great initiative by the college's innovation council, and a big thanks to all the teachers and and the students who attended this program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Sir, just 1 year back, we had a competition for our students. It was on innovative model design. We had a good participation from the undergraduate students, wherein two groups had prepared. One was a model to detect CO2 in the atmosphere, and the second one was a robot, a garbage picking robot. So maybe we could have something of that sort, and if students really come up with good ideas, we can see if whatever schemes you have shown under the Goa State Innovation Council, whether that could give some benefit to their idea. We'll definitely do that, sir, in the coming term.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for a very enlightening session. Your presentation has given a clear insight into the innovation and startup ecosystem, and also covered the various aspects of prototyping. The Goa State Innovation Council, under your able leadership, has successfully established the culture of innovation in our state. And as principal madam has said, maybe in the near future we can have some collaboration with the Goa State Innovation Council, wherein we can have some offline session. We could invite you, sir, to our college, and also our students can have a visit or workshop at your center.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So much. Have a good day.
Participants, please do not leave. Now we will move on to the next lecture of today's Impact lecture series. The lecture is based on the theme Entrepreneurship, Skill and Behavior. It will be delivered by our eminent guest speaker, Dr. Anantha Padmanabh Achar, who is the CEO of AIC NITTE Incubation Center based at Udupi, Karnataka. We shall kindly wait till Sir joins, so we can have, Sir has joined. We welcome you, Sir, to this online platform of the Impact Lecture Series organized by the Institutions Innovation Council of Dempe College. So this is a lecture series which is an initiative of the Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell, so that we organize session involving maximum number of faculties and students. These sessions are organized on the themes of innovation, startup ecosystem, entrepreneurship, IPR, so that we spread the awareness of these themes amongst the students. Now, I shall kindly request Dr. Ramamurthy, who is the coordinator for this Impact Lecture Series, and also the convener for Dempe College IIC unit, to kindly introduce the speaker for the next session, Dr. Anantha Padmanabh Achar. Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you, Deepa. I hope I'm audible to everybody.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, very good morning to all of you. I have the privilege of introducing our second speaker for today's session on the Impact Series lectures being organized by the Institutions Innovation Council of Dempe College of Arts and Science. And our speaker for this session is Dr. Anantha Padmanabh Achar. This is the second time, this is in fact the second event that we are having Dr. Anantha Padmanabh Achar as a speaker for, for our sessions in this institution. Let me briefly introduce our speaker for this session. Dr. Anantha Padmanabh Achar is presently working as the CEO of AIC NITTE Incubation Center. And as a CEO, he has put in 3 decades of service in teaching, training, and consultancy in management. Now, out of these 3 decades of service that he has rendered, he has put in 4 years as a dean at the Justice K.S. Hegde Institution of Management, 5 years as the director of the Sayadri School of Management, Bangalore, and nearly 21 years as a professor in the Manipal Group of Institutions. During his tenure as a professor at the Manipal Institute of Management, he has occupied several administrative positions like the head Center for Small Business Management, chairman, placement committee, student welfare officer, etc. And his areas of specialization are in teaching, in human resource management and entrepreneurship. Apart from these achievements by our speaker, Dr. Achar has also presented nearly 30 research papers in national and international conferences and was invited as a speaker in many of these national and international conferences. As an active member of various professional bodies, such as the International Society for Third Sector Research, Indian Society of Training and Development, and the National Institute of Personnel Management, he has presented several technical papers in countries such as Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the UAE. And a very important aspect of his achievements is recognizing his contribution for the development of entrepreneurship in the region, in the region of entrepreneurship development. Dr. Achar was honored with the HDFC BCCI Outstanding Achievement Award in the National MSME Conclave jointly organized by the HDFC and the Bilava Chamber of Commerce in Mumbai, okay, way back in March 2019, right? So this is our this is our speaker for this particular session. I now hand over the session to our speaker, Dr. Anantha Padmanabh Achar. Sir, you may now take over.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful introduction and giving me an opportunity to talk to this wonderful student of the college.
Most welcome, sir. Thank you so much.
I share the screen. Is it visible, sir, now?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. So good morning to all of you. Let me just give a brief introduction about what we are at NITE. As you all know that NITE University today is one of the most reputed university in Karnataka. We have been accredited A+ by NAC and shortly will be getting the status of Institute of Eminence. We offer around 130 courses to around 30,000 students in 3 campuses, Mangaluru, NITE, and not NIT. NIT is a village, small village from Udupi district, and in Bangalore. So recognizing the contribution of NITE University, NITI Aayog has sanctioned 10 crore rupees to set up an world-class incubation center called Atal Innovation Center. I am the CEO of that. We provide end-to-end services to the youngsters to realize their dream to be an entrepreneur. I wish that your institute also can have an MOU with us, so we can provide an opportunity for your student to come with us and stay for a month. And we have a fab lab. You can convert the idea into a prototype or a product. We also provide seed fund. Recently, you might have heard that in 2020, Government of India announced 1,000 crore funding for seed fund for the youngsters like you. Those with an idea, you can get a fund of from 5 lakh to 50 lakh. So we also got 5 crore for providing seed fund to the startups. If you have bright ideas, please let us know. We'll help you to get funding also to mentoring. So entrepreneurship today again becoming in the forefront. It was in the blood of Indians for a long time. Just 16 years ago, India was superpower. We talk today about superpower, but that time, 600 years ago, India was having a trade link with most of the countries, and India's share in the world trade was around 90%. People from all over the world used to come to India for trading. Do you know any guess about what is the today's India's share in the global trade, world trade? From 90%, we have come down to lowest possible level in the world trade. Any guess about what is India's share in the global trade today? Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Any one of you can say the percentage of India's trade, percentage of trade in the global trade. %, 20%, 30%.
Edwin, I think you can answer. Edwin has raised the hand. He can answer.
You can answer. You can unmute and answer. It was in 2014. It was 1.5%. Now it is 4%. And now we want to become a 5 trillion economy in 2024. And to become that 5 trillion economy, I think we need to double this figure from 5% to 10%. GDP also has to be growing, should be more than 10%. To make India as a superpower, or to make India as, we call it as a Vishwaguru, I think most important is we to develop all our youngsters as entrepreneurs. So a lot of schemes, lot of policies have been enacted in the last 4 years to become, to convert student into an entrepreneur. So instead of they becoming a job seeker, So government want them to become job provider. So let us understand who is an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is one sets challenging goals. Difference between an entrepreneurial person and non-entrepreneurial person is he always stretches his abilities beyond his limits. If you are able to lift 5 kilo, he fixes the goal to lift 10 kilos. So once he set a challenging goal, he also mobilizes resource to achieve the goal. Like Narayan Murthy, he wanted to set up an IT company in Bangalore. He has only 10,000 rupees in his hand, and his dream was to set up a world-class IT company, Infosys. So how to mobilize those days, 1985 to 1990, they don't have this ecosystem to fund startups. So what he did was he started giving shares to people, give some money. At 10 rupees shares, you can take it 2 rupees. Went to every department to get government funding. So mobilizing resources, they go for an innovative way of mobilizing resources. You might have heard about Banaras Hindu University. I'm sure most of you heard about Banaras University. Madan Mohan Malaviya started his college with zero cash in his hand, but he wants to set up a world-class university. So he went to ask fund to Hyderabad Nizam. Just see the paradox. Went to Nizam, Hyderabad Nizam to ask fund to set up a Hindu university at Banaras. Nawab was very angry and he showed a shoe at him. So he took this shoe and quietly went to Calcutta and auctioned his shoe, Nawab shoe. This news has gone to Nawab also. Nawab sent his people that if it is sold at a less price, it is a prestige to him. So he told his people to get it at a highest price. So he got money and set up Banaras Hindu University. So every entrepreneur, when he set a challenging goals, he goes for an innovative way of mobilizing resources. It could be money, it could be people, it could be whatever. That is another DNA of entrepreneurs. And third is an economic activity and manage that activity profitably. So the soul of entire entrepreneur is he must have an innovative mindset. Entrepreneurship is a process. Entrepreneur is a person. Entrepreneurship is a process. Enterprise is an outcome of his entrepreneurship activity. Entrepreneurial career path, I'm sure your college is also organizing this kind of event just to guide you to take up entrepreneurship as a career path. There are some full factors and push factors. There are 3 routes to become an entrepreneur. One is education, employment, get frustrated and go for entrepreneurship. Second is education, unemployment, frustration, then go for entrepreneurship. Third is education and entrepreneurship. I'm sure Goa and all of this wouldn't want to go for entrepreneurship from education to entrepreneurship, not with unemployment or with the job rest and coming back. So the pull factor is seeking independence. Those who born after 2020, this 21st century, they always look for an independent, they don't work for others. So if you have that kind of willingness to be an independent, then you must go for an entrepreneur. You must start your own enterprise. Could be small. And self-fulfillment. Many times when you work for others, you'll always do what your boss says or organization wants you to do. You will never get a chance to do what you want to do. So entrepreneurship is an amazing opportunity for self-fulfillment. You don't have working hours. You can work for 24 hours, you work on 2 hours, a lot of flexibility and a lot of freedom. And next is if you want to create an amazing wealth, you have to be an entrepreneur. If you be an employee, we have something called TDS, tax deducted source. I pay 30% tax every month. So how much wealth you can generate? Very less. But if you look at Ambani's, some of the leading entrepreneurs in the world, so they all become billionaires because they become an entrepreneur. So just being an employee, there is always limitation for you to generate wealth. Entrepreneurs always create wealth. And other desirable outcome to be an entrepreneur. For a long time, there was a myth that to be an entrepreneur, you need to have an education. You have to come from a business family, and you should have a lot of money. Only if these 3 things have, you can become an entrepreneur. But this is not true. anyone with a burning desire can become an entrepreneur. So even uneducated can become entrepreneur. Only thing required is maybe if an education that increases the probability of success. Same thing. The charm of being an entrepreneur is provides an opportunity for self-expression and realization of one's passion for doing something new and different scope for innovation. If you work for others all the time, you have to do something which you are against your will, against your wishes, because you have to work under somebody else's instruction. Monetary rewards, I told you earlier, making significant contribute to development of the country. See, one more interesting thing about entrepreneur is they create enterprise not just for self-benefit, they want to create an impact on the society. Look at Infosys, what impact it created. In Nitte, our founder of this Nitte group has started with a company called is a molding, car molding. It gives employment to around 10,000 people in the region. And because of that, the income has increased and they could send their children for education. And when they got education, they got job also. Complete transformation of a village because of the one entrepreneur. Same thing in Manipal also. In a lot of cases, a successful entrepreneur not just created wealth for himself, he created wealth for others also. So that is possible only when you become an entrepreneur. Receiving recognition in community and society at large. If you're an employee, who recognizes you? But if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a successful entrepreneur, the whole country, whole society will recognize you and they reward you for your achievement. The challenge is work-life balance can be, there is no work-life balance, it is only work for them. So normally they work for 100 hours per week, comes around 20 hours per day. There is no fixed income as the business depends on the market condition. So entrepreneur is one who buys goods and services on a definite price, sells at unexpected prices. If you look at small vendors in your village, he buys vegetable at a fixed rate. What price he sells, God knows, because price depends on the market conditions. He takes a risk, an enormous risk in the process. So that's a big challenge in the entire entrepreneurial journey. There can be many blockades from government regulation to tax system and other operations today. So we have 130 labor laws. Of course, the startup are exempted initially, but down the line, they have to follow all the legal regulations. It's very, very difficult to follow the rules and regulations of the government. So the question again and asked is, whether entrepreneurs are born or entrepreneurs are made? First question. Second question is, can anybody and everybody can become entrepreneur? The first question is, entrepreneurs are not born, they're made. If you look at the new generation entrepreneurs, they don't have any family background at all. When you answer a question, entrepreneurs are not born, they're made. Second question is, can anybody and everybody become entrepreneurs? No. To become an entrepreneur, you need to have a particular behavior. Behavior comes from the competency. So there is a person called David McNadden, a Harvard University professor. When Nehru was the prime minister, he invited him to India to find out why Indian students are not willing to become an entrepreneur. Once upon a time, we had a glorious fast and everybody was entrepreneur and we had a 90% share in the world trade. And suddenly our students, when till around 60 to 70, there is a lot of push from the government to make student entrepreneurs. David McClendon went to Kakinada in Andhra Pradesh and did a study for 5 long years. And what makes successful entrepreneurs, why entrepreneurs fail. He come out with a model that to become an entrepreneur, one should have a set of competencies. A competency is a combination of 3 things. It's a knowledge, skill, and attitude. Attitude are the motives. Knowledge is a collection of and retention of information and facts. Knowledge, information, knowledge, and wisdom. Information, data, or the information is just a fact, information. But when you collect, classify, and retain in the mind, it becomes a knowledge. I think education institutions, all of us, focus only on the knowledge. But knowledge has to be converted into wisdom. If you look at a mango, when it is tender, it is green. When it is ripe, it becomes yellow. This is a information. Knowledge is, we have seen this for several years, that mind in mind also. Why a green mango becomes an yellow when it becomes ripe? If you ask a question why, you will develop a wisdom. Like sunrise, when you look at a sunrise, sun is red, and sunset also sun is red. But noontime it becomes white. This is knowledge. Why it happens? If you ask a question, you develop a wisdom. So entrepreneur always ask a question why. In Japan, not only entrepreneurs, every employee before doing any activity they ask why 5 times. If somebody asks them to do an activity, when a student, if they ask a student to do an assignment, they'll ask why you have to do this assignment. Once you get a clarity, they do it on deadline. But India, we don't ask the question why. We take everything, we accept everything without asking a question, then they don't do it. So first part is knowledge. Second part is skill, ability to master the system and sequence of behavior. We're converting your knowledge into action. We call it as a hard skill and soft skill. Hard skill is a domain expertise. Suppose you want a food processing industry. We are starting a jackfruit processing industry in Nitte. Hope you'll be able to pronounce now. It is Nitte is the village. Madam used to call it NITT. It's not a short form, it is a full form. It's a village. I am in charge of this plan, project. So I need to have both hard skill and soft skill. Hard skill is I have to find out, get a knowledge about how to process a jackfruit, what kind of product we can make, what is the health benefit of it. So it's a domain expertise. So once I get a domain expertise in jackfruit processing, I need to have a soft skill. I have to have a negotiation skill. I got a funding of 5 crore from Government of India. I have to negotiate with them. I have to do a planning, systematic planning. I have to do influence strategy. All this comes under soft skill. So knowledge, skill, and attitude, motives. Many times, if you take an example of swimming, you know the knowledge of swimming, you have done diploma in swimming. But without just having knowledge, you can't swim. You have to go to water, practice, then you develop a skill. Just having knowledge and skill, you don't participate in the competition, you don't become a world-class swimmer. To become a world-class swimmer or a best swimmer, you need to have motive to become that world-class swimmer or to win the competition, then only become a successful swimmer. Similarly, to become an entrepreneur, all these are the competence is visible in the behavior. If you look at any entrepreneur in any sector, he has a tremendous knowledge about that sector. If you look at Bill Gates, so without reading for 2 hours, he'll not go for sleep. He reads every newspaper about IT sector, gets every knowledge, information about it, then convert that knowledge into wisdom or that skill to transform that knowledge into action. So if you don't have this, then you'll not become a successful entrepreneur. So David McClellan has come out with a set of 14 competencies to his research. So only those who have these competencies can become a successful entrepreneur. If you don't have, you cannot become a successful entrepreneur. And interestingly, the study also shows that all of us have that competence as an Indian by birth, by DNA we have this, but somebody have to activate it. That is where the programs like this organization today is to motivate students to acquire this competence. There's a test also to find out at what level these competencies are. Just a questionnaire developed by Harvard University. I can pass it on to you. You can test at what level are your competency. The first competency every entrepreneur has is doing things on his own before being asked for or being forced to do by events. Like I was saying, the first session, principal madam was asking students to ask questions. Only few questions came up. We don't do anything without being compelled to do it or without being asked to do it. As an employee, most of us will do what has been asked to do. We don't cross the boundaries. But entrepreneur is one person who always cross the boundaries areas. You see how many vertical he has. Ambani, how many verticals he has. Anand Mahindra, how many verticals he has. So every time they're not happy with what they have, they go for a new line, new areas of business. Seeing and acting an opportunity. So most of us will keep our eyes and ears closed and keep our mouth open. But entrepreneur always keeps his mouth shut, keeps eyes and ears open. Every time he travels, when Ratan Tata saw in a crowded place, in Bajaj scooter, entire family is traveling, father is driving, mother is sitting, two children in the front. So in a small scooter, entire family is traveling in a lower middle class. He thought there's an opportunity for a nano car, small segment car. Not only opportunity, but it can solve the problem also. So every businessman when he travels, one Lakme per salesperson when he went to the world famous slum area in Mumbai, he saw that this girls in the slum areas also using the lipsticks. So he understood there is a deep conscience among the girls to look pretty, look beautiful. So he thought it's a huge market for cosmetics in the lower income group also. He thought cosmetics only at a premium segment, but there's also a huge opportunity for cosmetics in the lower segment also. Seeing an unusual opportunity to obtain or mobilize necessary resources. So they don't go for apply loan and then get a loan sanction and then do business. They have very, very innovative way of getting resources for their business. Competency. Third is persistence. Many times we take some activity, there's a failure, we come back. Taking suitable actions in the face of a significant obstacles. When you move in an entrepreneurial journey, you get a lot of obstacles. You apply for a patent, doesn't happen. Apply for a license, doesn't happen on time. So every day, every quarter, you have to face new challenges. Problems are same, but solutions are not same. So you need to take a repeated action, not same action. Persistence is not taking same action and again, but you have to take a repeated action to achieve your goal. Ensuring all effort to solve the problems are a barrier. This is also a very, very important competency for all of us. Persistence is taking action to overcome the obstacles that come in the way of achieving the goals. All of us would set a goal, but will achieve the goal, you get a lot of extra obstacles, and we to overcome that. Concern for high quality of work. This is very, very important. If you don't focus on quality and focus only on the quantity, I think during COVID time, you might have heard about this. A lot of people are using honey. Dabur also was the number one brand for selling honey. But as the demand increased, they adulterated it. So quality lost. Nobody today buys. They lost huge market in honey business. But I heard about the Maggie also, and they lost completely 2 minutes. I don't know whether you can make noodle in 2 minutes. But when somebody pointed out that there is some metal in this thing, he is not bothered about the quality concern, and you know what happened to Maggie. So as an entrepreneur, even to become a good employee also, you need to have a high concern for high quality of work. If you compromise with the quality, you're gone forever. If you look at the successful business houses, they're given a lot of importance for quality of work. Commitment to work contract. Commitment means, I think all of us, this is one quality Indians lack. Most of us lack this. It's a commitment to work contract. We make promises liberally, but we don't honor that contract. In our region, I don't know what at Goa, the stylers, all of them lost job. People are moved to ready-made garments. The reason is that if you give a clause for stitching, they don't give it on time, especially marriages. Sometimes I know my experience, we collected at midnight the next day marriage functions. So people said, it's not possible. Similarly, we had jewelry artisans, the very glorious business they had. They also don't, they make a promise that given a particular day, but they don't honor the dates. So most of the IT companies, it is, they make a promise they honor it at any cost. At any cost. So less promise, more performance. But most people make very leisurely. They make a lot of promises, but never fulfill that. So less promise, more performance is a very important quality of an entrepreneur. If you look at the most successful this family-owned businesses, their succession planning is they make their children or succession legal heir to work at a factory level to understand what is happening in the ground level, then they promote it to higher level. If you don't understand what is happening at a lower level, you cannot be a successful entrepreneur. Efficiency orientation. Efficiency and effectiveness are the two legs of productivity. And today everybody talks about productivity. This is for everybody, for teachers, student, efficiency is a very, very important quality. Can anybody tell us what is efficiency? Meaning of efficiency concept? Your understanding of the word, because it's a mantra in the corporate world today. Even the colleges also, college management also want efficiency in whatever we do. In simple terms, how do you define efficiency? Anyone can unmute and say the meaning of efficiency? All of you are hearing me? Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
So they don't ask any questions or they reply to questions also?
Sir, students, please respond.
Efficiency means what according to you? Any one of you? To break the monotony?
It is the quality of work, maybe, which is done, sir.
Efficiency is with less input, you have to get maximum output.
Okay, yeah.
Input could be your time, could be resources, could be material. With less input, if you are able to get maximum output, you are an efficient person. So in my incubation center also, we try in our startups, entrepreneurs to do this efficiency orientation. So your time also is a resources. Time is the most valuable resources. Most people don't know that for an entrepreneur, the most valuable resource is time. So all of us have 24 hours time. How do you make use of this time? Makes one person a successful entrepreneur, one makes a beggar. The difference between a beggar and a billionaire is how do you make use of your time? So with less input, if you have to get a maximum output, you become a successful entrepreneur. So that's called efficiency orientation. Gandhi also told long back. It's called, today we call it, it talks about Gandhian engineering. Gandhi told long back in 1946 when he was inaugurating a telephone booth. He could imagine that India will be a conglomerate of big business, there will be global trade, and Indians has to develop an efficiency orientation. So he told that day in annual function that Indians has to use less resources to get a maximum output. And one of the resources he mentioned was the time. The time has to be properly utilized. But systematic planning is also a very, very important quality of an entrepreneur. What is the definition? All of us do planning. What is planning actually? Can anybody explain? Madam, do they have a practice of talking or do not ask questions?
Yes,
planning, sir. Yeah. All of us do planning. Career planning, daily planning, weekly planning, annual planning.
Correct.
What is planning?
It is maybe a layout of the steps in which we could plan our work to be done. It could be a plan even for our lecture, or maybe students
Yeah.
also do a plan for their projects, third
Yes,
year
man.
projects.
It is 5W1H. 5W it is what is to be done. Most important, we have to decide what is to be done today. And second important question is why you have to do this. So if professor gives an assignment to student and student asks that question, why you have to do this assignment, you'll get a clarity. What, why, and how has to do this. When and who. So 5W1H is the concept of every entrepreneur before doing anything, he'll ask this question. And systematic planning is break down the task into smaller and a lot of printing limitation. First thing, then seeing the whole, all you know, all of it, this thing. So that is the systematic planning, doing logical step, taking a logical step and systematic approach to activities in general, and do that. Many times, what we do is we have a broad plan. We don't break down into small things. There's something called PDCA. It's called Deming cycle. All entrepreneurs to become a success. Japanese, if you look at their world trade is 60% today. They have all world-class organizations, Sony, Panasonic. They have a simple technique called PDCA. Anybody heard about this? PDCA? Plan, do, check, act. When a day starts in Japan, they write down what is to be done in a day. And they keep checking whether I'm doing as per my plan. If they're not doing it, and do it next day. PDCA, plan, do, check, act. If you're not doing it today, do it next day. If any activity I'm not able to do it today, I will do it next day or later do it. But there's a prime concern for me. But once I plan, at any cost, I'll do it. The same thing is called a systematic planning in India, but in Japan it's called PDCA, plan, do, check, act. It's called also Deming cycle or total quality management. Problem solving is another important. What is the problem according to you? Before solving the problem, you must understand what is problem. And entrepreneurs are extremely good in solving the problems. All of us face problem in the life. We say we have a lot of problem. What is problem? What is the definition of problem? Anyone? All of us have problem, right? We say we have a lot of problems. We face problem every day. But what is the problem?
It is a situation, a difficult situation, or
it's a difficult situation.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? Problem is anything which causes inconvenience to you. Today when you come to office, it is very hot. It's a problem for me. I'll switch on AC. So anything which causes inconvenience is a problem. But question is, how do you solve this inconvenience? So identifying the root cause of the problem or objective, developing strategy in the light of objectives, keeping alternatives whenever necessary. So one problem, there are multiple alternatives. So you should not look at only one option to solve a problem. Look at a multiple. Find out a root cause. What is the why the problem is arising? So most entrepreneurs, when they get a problem, so they go to the deep of the problem and understand why it is happening. If the machine is not working in a day, they will inspect everything and why it has become defective in a particular day. So any problem, if an employee is left in organization, it's a problem. Good employees leaving a problem is a problem. A non-performing leaving a problem is good for the organization. But if a top-performing employee leaves the organization, it's a problem. So what they do is they conduct exit interview, find out why he's leaving, what is the problem, and how it can be solved. So that Other employees will not be leaving the organization. So problem solving is a very, very important competency of an entrepreneur. If many times we problem Indians provide problem avoiders. If you get a problem, we just leave that activity, go for another problem. So problem solving is a very, very important competency or a quality of an entrepreneur. Generating new ideas, innovating. That's where the innovation comes, and every problem is a scope for innovation. If you heard about the Uber, two young boys were waiting for a taxi in the road in the US. Empty taxis were running in the road, but taxi fellow could not see these two passengers, and they could not connect to the drivers. This was a problem. They were waiting for 6-7 hours, so they could not connect to the taxi drivers. So they innovated Uber, and Ola is a imitation of the same, not same problem, but similar kind of solution to the taxi drivers. So every problem can be a solution, can be a business opportunity. So business opportunity comes when you look at a problem and when you find a solution. All our startup in the region, we have around 75 startup, and all startup finding they have a solution for a particular problem. If you make a presentation to our startup entrepreneurs, the first slide is problem statement. What problem they identified and what solution they make. The solution is a product or a service. So 75 startup is a solution for a 75 problems people face. So it is very, very important for you to look at the problems. Like Facebook also came as because of the problem solving. Two youngsters after graduation wanted to connect without any cost. 24/7 they want to connect their friends. So Facebook was invented. Every problem, if you look at in an innovation angle, you find a solution to that. Self-confidence. Self-confidence is a very, very important in times of adversities. You have to believe on you. And in India, we have belief on others. We don't have belief on ourselves. We have belief in confidence in teachers, confidence in parents, but we don't have confidence in ourselves. So expressing confidence in your own activity is very, very important. Sticking to your own judgment in the face of, many times we feel that our decisions are wrong. That's what Ratan Tata said. Nothing like a wrong decision. You take a decision, make it right. So in Nano project, if you know that there's started 1,000 crore invested in West Bengal as a protest saying that agricultural land is used for the nano factory. So he has to leave that and back to Gujarat. But he knew that his decisions are correct. If he shifted from, it failed because of different reason. So entrepreneur has a tremendous self-confidence. So in spite of adversities, he believes in his decision. And if you look at one of the press statement he gave in during the difficulties, he told that if somebody comes and put a gun on my head, I will still say that nano project has to be implemented. That is the kind of confidence they exhibit because they have a lot of clarity in what they want to do. And when they come to the clarity and do it at any cost. This is another important. All of us have this, but you have to activate this as a competency for our business activities. Can anybody explain to me what is persuasion? All of us have this competency. There's something called sweet persuasion. When your close friends come to your house, we persuade them to eat more. Or when close relatives come to your house, or when you go to your close relative's house, they will make you to persuade to eat more. It's called sweet persuasion. But an entrepreneur, many times his employees, convincing someone will successfully do something else than what he would have done. So many times your employees will not do what you want to do. You have to persuade, like for a professor at many colleges, we want to make student to come at after 6 o'clock, after 5 o'clock. The LCA will not come. Then how do you persuade them to attend the class after 6 o'clock? It's very, very difficult, but you need to have that skill. Selling someone a product or a service which they don't want. Many times because the entrepreneurs, sell goods or services which we don't need. So they persuade sellers to buy, like you might have heard about Fair and Lovely. Anybody is using this group, Fair and Lovely? So within 7 days, you become fair. Anyone has become fair by using it? Nobody knows. So 2-minute Maggie. How many people have made Maggie in 2 minutes? I don't know. It takes more than minimum 10 minutes. People believed it, and a lot of it became a darling of housewives, working women. So entrepreneur is one who always persuade people to buy product or service which they sell, making someone to agree to provide resources on extraordinary conditions. So many times you want resources, you want raw materials, you want machines, but not available at one place, but you have to make an extra effort, persuade somebody to sell at a price that you have, you are affordable to pay. Asserting your own confidence and competence in personal or company strength. So once you feel that what you believe is right, you always persuade others to fall in line with what you wanted to do. Influence strategy for every businessman using a variety of strategies to influence others successfully. Could be regulator, could be employees, could be a supplier. They don't supply goods on time. Employees. One of my friends is a hospital, super specialty hospital. The surgery starts at 8 o'clock. So doctors to come at 7 o'clock, they make it preparation. But doctor doesn't come on time. What to do? If it doesn't come, the patient has paid huge amount of money for a surgery. And anesthesia is given. If the doctor doesn't come on time, you have a huge problem. So how do you influence him to come on time? So what he does, it's not salary, it is a performance bonus. If you do one surgery on time, successful surgery, you get 50%. And if you do a number of surgeries, you'll get a bonus for pay for performance kind of a thing. So he started coming on time, he's doing more surgery than what he wanted to do. So most companies today use this kind of pay for performance. So they're directly linking your action to the reward. This is another very, very important competency required for all of us to live in the present world. And there's a difference between arrogance and assertiveness. People always mistake between assertiveness and arrogance. Can anybody tell us what is the meaning of assertiveness and arrogance? We normally mistake between these two qualities, assertiveness and arrogance. Anyone? When you join a company, when you work as an employee, you need to be very assertive. Otherwise, very difficult to survive in the corporate world. When you start your own enterprise, this is one quality which keeps you going. Otherwise, you get into trouble. Anyone? Assertiveness?
Sir, assertiveness is saying no if you do not agree with what is being told.
Very good. Anybody else? Correct. Speaking politely but firmly. Whatever you want to say, but politely, that it has to be done. And with a lot of confidence, telling others clearly that what they have to do. There may be some argument, reprimanding people who don't fall in line with them. So there will be an argument, there will be discussion. So many times people will not agree with what you are saying. So they will confront your ideas. But if you are clear about what you are doing is right, you always put across your point of view so clearly, so boldly that other person will just accept it. This is related to confidence. If you are confident, you will be very assertive. If you are clear that what you are doing is right and what is doing is important and what is doing is good for others, you have a high level of confidence and you put across a point so boldly, so clearly that other person will just listen. And if you're not assertive, all the time you have to listen to what your employee says, what your supplier says, what your regulator says. So if you start listening to, agreeing to what your stakeholder says, and you cannot be successful businessman. So assertiveness in a house, if husband always listen to what wife says, or if parent listen everything to what your children says, then that you're not managing your family effectively. So when you're managing an enterprise or an organization or family, at times you have to be very assertive. You have to put across your point of view so firmly, so boldly that other person has to just accept. And this comes because of your self-confidence. Monitoring is, we do planning many times, but we don't monitor. So every part of activity, when you are a supervisor, like when an entrepreneur, you personally supervise all the aspect of the work. In Pragati Maidan, every year there is a exhibition. And I think it's 7 years back, 10 years back, when I was in Pragati Maidan, Ratan Tata was in the gate. He was listening what the visitors say about his car. They shifted from, they started car business from, they were good at only heavy truck, they got into passenger car segment. When the car was put in the exhibition, he want to know that what people, he doesn't believe in the secondary research or market research. He personally monitor what customer says, what employees do. And we have an entrepreneur from this region called Shivsagar Hotels. There are around 150 hotels. The proprietor, every time you visit a hotel in different places, you just go to kitchen and taste the food. And he wanted similar quality of fish curry everywhere. Fish curry in Goa should be equal to fish curry in Udupi and should be in Mumbai also. So they personally monitor, supervise all the activities of the enterprise so that quality is maintained. Concern for others' welfare. Most of us focus only on our welfare, but as an entrepreneur, if you look at success stories of entrepreneurs, they always show concern for others. I know we do a lot of work I closely work with the entrepreneurs. One of the entrepreneurs in the region, I had an appointment to meet him at 4 o'clock, but he was not there. When I called him, he said one of my employee father expired, so he is going there for cremation. So 4 people has to carry, one person was, he is the person to carry that. So they give a lot of importance for employee welfare. And once you show that kind of concern and for the employee welfare, they will become loyal to you. Even in Tata, the best known for employee welfare. If you speak one bad word about Tata, you get a slap on their face. So they're so loyal, so they feel proud about working for Tata because the company shows a lot of welfare. In Google also, if an employee for Google dies within 2 years in road accident, his family gets salary for the entire lifetime. They have to work on a busy schedule, and once in a year, their parents' air ticket is given, and they come and meet their son or a daughter at workplace. So there is a kind of concern they show for the employees, and that's why Google is the most preferred workplace for the youngsters, because Google shows a lot of concern for the. And when they complete first years, the parents also get shares. That Google share is free of cost. That's the kind of concern they show. This is a brief idea about internal competency. Back to the discussion, because now the question for all of us is how do you develop entrepreneurial competency among our youngsters? Let me repeat again. All of us have this competency, but you have to activate it. The faulty education system invented by British government 200 years ago, we still practice this. So maybe because of that, our entrepreneurial spirit inside with all of us is not activated. All of us, David McClendon made a research for 6 long years in Kakinada. They wrote a research paper saying that Indians have a very, very high level of entrepreneurial competency. But problem is somebody has to activate it. So how a college can prepare an action plan to activate the student entrepreneurial competency? That is, I think, the discussion, maybe next workshop, Deepa Madam can organize on how would we motivate our youngsters to become an entrepreneur. So coming back to the collaboration, what we can have is we are doing an hackathon agriculture shortly. I send a brochure to you. We identified 10 problems in agriculture. One problem is that the farmers sprinkle the pesticide with the hand pump. And many times they inhale that pesticide also, and 60% of them got a cancer. And how do you solve this problem? Second is the water management. So water is becoming scarce year after year. And how do you manage water at a farm? Another. Third is wild animals. How do you protect this region? We have space near to Western Ghat. I think Goa is also near to the Western Ghats. So a lot of crops are destroyed because of the wild animals. So how do you protect them? So this is some of the problems. Share it with you. So your team with the faculty can participate in this hackathon. If your idea is selected, we'll give you all the support, mentoring support. We have a fab lab where you can convert your idea into a proof of concept and prototype, and give funding for that also. If you are willing, we can have an MOU partnership with your college, and every year maybe 4 to 5 good ideas generated from your student, we can fund from our side. The journey of an entrepreneur. Do you have a time, or should I?
Yes, I think you can go ahead. And Deepa, you can take that initiative which he has suggested. We can send some interested entrepreneurs or innovators there.
Okay.
To them.
Okay, ma'am.
So make the note of it, and we can have an MOU.
Yes, ma'am.
We also do a program called Launchpad is online. It's a 6-month course to take somebody in the entrepreneurial journey to understand what competency they have, develop an entrepreneurial mindset, identify an opportunity and find a solution to that, and product and service development. It's a journey of 6 months. So we'll offer to your students also if they're interested. So Launchpad is an online student entrepreneurship program. So it not all need to participate in, but only for those who are interested can go through this journey. And at the end, if they come up with a good service or a product, we'll fund that product to commercialize it. Madam, any questions from student side?
Students, would you like to ask any questions?
Which entrepreneur is a role model we should follow to improve our entrepreneurial skill? Do you know Narayan Murthy is one who started with zero, scratch. Is an employee frustrated with the job. And if you read the life story of Narayan Murthy, should be very interesting for you. And Bansal, if you know the Bansal, it's a very interesting story. In our own places, in Udupi, we have an Auburn Motors and Auburn Jewelers. Very popular showroom. What they do is a very, very interesting salesmanship and customer service, customer delight programs. There are many in India. Anand Mahindra.
Thank you, sir.
Start reading success stories of entrepreneurs. You get a lot of insight about entrepreneurial personalities. Any other question? How many of you are willing to visit NITTE? 1 week training on converting your idea into product. And you can raise your hand also.
We'll try to contact you, sir, and we will find out how many are really required. I mean, interested in going, and mainly why it is because today actually some examinations are also going on. So some students are not able to attend this lecture of yours, but definitely we are going to circulate YouTube videos to them, and then we will get the feedback from the students.
Okay, madam. Anytime.
Yeah, and then we'll let you know, sir. We are very happy that you are rendering such help of taking some students for internship of about a week. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thanks a lot. It's a great honor to talk to all of you. Can I log off?
Sir will formally thank you, sir. Just thank you, sir, very much. I now request Dr. Bhanudas Naik, who is the ARIA coordinator of IIC cell of Dempe College, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, madam. Good morning to one and all present here for the Impact Lecture Series sponsored by the Ministry of Education Innovation Cell. Respected Professor Vinda Burkar, Principal of Dempo Charities Trust, Dempo College of Arts and Science, Ms. Deepa Audi, President of Institutions Innovation Council, Mr. Sudeep Faldeshin, Project Officer, Goa State Innovation Council, Dr. Anantha Padmanabh, Achar, CEO, AIC, NITTE Incubation Center, students, faculty members, and all the participants. It is an honor for me to thank you all on behalf of Institution Innovation Council of Dempe College of Arts and Science. I extend my gratitude to our resource persons of Impact Lecture Series, Mr. Sudeep Faldeshin for presenting lecture on the topic Innovation and Startup Ecosystem, and Dr. Anantha Padmanabhan Achar for presenting lecture on entrepreneurship skills and behavior. Thank you once again for taking time from your busy schedule and delivering an informative talk and answering questions asked by the participants. Thank you for inspiring and motivating us with your words and encouraging our participants to be innovative and skillful. We would like to thank Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell, Government of India for their financial support. A special thanks to Professor Vinda Burkar, Principal of Dempo Charities Trust, Dempe College of Arts and Science, for providing um, immense support to make this lecture series successful. I extend my gratitude to Ms. Deepa Odi, President of Institutions Innovation Council. I would like to express my gratitude to all the participants of the lecture series for their active participation and presence to make this lecture series a great success. I must thank the organizing team to make this lecture series successful. And finally, thank you everyone once again for making this lecture series a great success. Thank you.
Dear participants, the link, feedback link for both the sessions have been posted in the chat box. Kindly do fill both the feedback links. We require your feedback. The e-assessment is of utmost importance to us. It will motivate us to do even better. And the lecture series session 2 will be held soon in the month of July. Once we schedule with the concerned resource persons, the brochure will be prepared and it will be circulated on different platforms. So do register. Your participation is very important. It gives a great contributes greatly to the success of our sessions. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll log off. Thank you very much.